Welcome to the Brilliantly Sexy Show with Devina Kaur. Our intention is to inspire, awaken and create global leaders using the Sexy Brilliant philosophy. Discover sacred wisdom and the benefits of self-leadership with your host, author of Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious, and founder of Sexy Brilliant Global Revolution, Devina Kaur.
Hi everybody, welcome to Brilliantly Sexy Show with Devina Kaur. We're doing a special show just with women from all over the world, and I myself am in Canada, but I know there's women here from Australia, from Philippines, and USA, and Mexico, and Canada. So I'm international roundtable, and I want to know where you guys are from, and let us know in the comments. Tell us, what does the word spirituality mean to you, and do you think spirituality can be sexy? So that's what we're going to talk about on the new series on Brilliantly Sexy with Devina Kaur, and I am so grateful that you are here with us. So let's get started. Hi everybody. Hello ladies. Welcome.
Hey.
Hey. A group hi. Hi.
Hi.
We're going to start with Madonna. Madonna, English, tell us where you're from and what connected us.
Hi. I am from the Philippines. I'm currently here in central Philippines, marooned in Island Paradise. It's an island called Boracay, which, as I was just explaining to Devina earlier, is like the Bali of the Philippines. So I believe we got connected via this movement. It's through their movement that has, connected so many like-minded people over the, I would say, last 5-6 months, maybe more, right? So, and I just want to say thank you again for inviting me here
today. Thank you so much for being here. What an honor and what a pleasure. We're going to go to Carrie Ann, and you girls are all wearing beachwear. I want to get out of the cold and wear beachwear too. Where are you from, Carrie Ann?
Well, I'm an island goddess as well. I live on the beautiful magnetic island, which is in far north Queensland. After years of running yoga studios, I was able to shift our business online quite a few years ago. So I'm able to work from my island paradise. We've still got our studios in Australia, also in Italy, but our online programs have completely taken off. And so I feel so blessed every day to be here on this beautiful island. There's literally quartz crystals in all the boulders around the island, hence the name magnetic, because when the ships would go by, they would actually, sorry, I'm getting my feedback here.
I apologize.
No, you're right. So when the ships would go by back in, a couple of 100 years ago, the magnetic aspects of the quartz crystal would interact with the ship's devices and literally affect their compasses and pull them back into shore, hence the name magnetic. So you come here and you either heal or you go crazy, because this clear quartz crystal, just as we know crystals are so powerful, just brings everything to the surface. So yeah, it's a beautiful place to be.
Thank you for that, and welcome, Carrie Ann. What an honor to have you as well. And we're going to
darling.
We're going to go to Lonnie, who's by the way, I love gray white hair, and I especially like it on men. And today we're going to be talking a lot about men and our sexuality. I'm so excited. Lonnie, sorry, that just turned me on. Unmute Lonnie. Yes.
Oh, okay. Is my mic off now? Okay. Yeah, good thing, Devina. It doesn't take much to turn you on. That's great. Guys, keep that in your notes. Yes, Lonnie here from Canada as well. So no, I'm not wearing beach gear because it is like white snow outside. So what do? I do a few different things. I parent my children single-handedly. I help women get through their pregnancies and birth so they can have their desired birth outcome. I help them do that, get through the fears, sift through the fears, look at where the fears came from and give them a clear pathway and the tools to have a successful birth outcome. Because I could get really deep in birth, of course, with people that know me, but that if someone wanted to reach out to me, that's what you could do. Also, I sell CBD oil, really high quality CBD oil. And thirdly, I just started a YouTube series. So you can follow me over on Life and Birth Mentor on my YouTube channel over there. And they're nice, short, little sweet chats with everybody and anybody that wants to be a guest and talk about anything that they are passionate about. It's a really fun little show with so many different topics. Right, Carrie Ann? Carrie Ann was on last week. We did a women's circle similar to this, which isn't the norm for my series, but it was a lot of fun. Had a lot of people reach out after with a lot of positive things. So this will be fun too. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Lonnie, and I appreciate everybody who's here. And finally, we're going to go to Marie, who's been waiting very patiently. Marie, tell us about yourself and how did we connect, or anything else you want to talk about yourself. I know, if I'm not mistaken, I know you're a cancer survivor, right?
I suppose you could say that. I haven't died yet. So I've died a million times and I just keep coming back for more. I don't know. That's yeah, but I am healing from breast cancer. So that's a part of my story, and it's definitely a big part of my story. Delighted to be with you women. I came together with all of you through, as Madonna shared, this kind of truth movement, and starting to look deeper into our history and how it all kind of came to be. And I've been studying and teaching yoga since I was 24, and now I'm, how old? Almost 41, so 17 years. And I'm also a coach and all of that good stuff. But mainly, I think my magic and what I do is just be me as authentically and as clearly as I can. And that seems to really resonate with people, because I think it gives them permission to also let down some of their masks and layers. And so, yeah, I also have YouTube and websites and all that fun stuff. But it's really just about showing up every day and just being me. Not always easy. I think we all got to really do that. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you for celebrating Saturday and the weekend with us. And this is a show that I'm doing for just women, like only women as guests. And it's specifically to talk about, what does the word sexy brilliant mean to you? And as you may know, Sexy Brilliant is a nonprofit foundation. And our mission is to remove toxic shame and raise human consciousness. So that is what it is. And to me, sexy is nothing without brilliance, right? So I want to talk about that today. So let's get started. I'm going to go to Madonna first. And Madonna, if you want to share your current sex life, lack of sex life, or extra sex that you're having, even if it's self-sex, we want to talk about all of that. We want to talk about the things that we never talk about. So tell us about yourself, and tell us, what does sexuality and spirituality have to do together?
Okay, I was put on the spot there. I've been divorced now for 3 years.
Oh, congratulations. That's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a difficult one. Having been, in the marriage for 20 years, there was obviously, there was a lot of pain and grief, sorrow, suffering. I went through all that for quite a while. I would say it's still in process. And I have actually been practicing brahmacharya for for the time being. it just, it just happened. And I think, the practice of yoga that I have been into for the past 10 years, which is Kundalini Yoga, has helped in the process. I started to really understand what the unleashing of that Adi Shakti energy, that primal divine energy, was really all about, especially now that I'm consciously, I would say, in abstinence, right? It has also, it hasn't been easy. I would be the first to say that, especially since I've been pretty much a sexually active woman for 30 years, right? And then from being very active to having to just completely stopping and not being engaging in that. It was like a shock to the system, I have to say. But then I promised myself after that I would go through a period of just really abstaining from everything, as in abstaining from alcohol, abstaining from recreational stuff, and just really, for the first time in my life, experience everything raw, right? Because all my life, all I did was numb it out. So yeah, so I think that was really quite an excruciating part of my journey. But I don't think I'd be here today, in this relatively okay mindset if I hadn't, allowed myself to go through that purification. So so I think I'm able to go through the abstinence, the celibacy part of it, because for the first time I've been able to really sit with the discomfort, of just feeling it all out, all of it. So I would say I would highly recommend going through something like that. Maybe not. Yeah, I know that not everyone's going through something as huge as divorce, but right now everyone is just really juggling, right, to the best of their capacity. But I would say abstinence from negativity, all the drama, all the mainstream media and all that would do us a lot of good right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So yeah.
But okay, come on, don't tell anybody not to have sex, okay? Sorry. I'm kidding. Everybody's on a personal journey.
Absolutely.
And we're just having fun, and it's Saturday night. I'm tired of being horny all by myself. That's why I want to celebrate this moment with the ladies. So thank you very much for that, Madonna. Carrie Ann,
I love this conversation. So I'm a Scorpio sun sign, and as well as moon sign. So our greatest skill is that we read everyone's energy based on knowing how they are in the bedroom. That's our radar. I've got to tell you, ladies, it's a supernatural power that all Scorpions have. So any Scorpios out there, make sure you comment, because it's true. We can size someone up in a heartbeat and go, yeah, I know what you're like in the bedroom. Therefore, I know how you interact and how you present yourself in everyday life. So.
And Carrie Ann, I'm just going to ask everybody who's watching the show and who's also watching the show on replay, what is your sun sign? And do you believe that a certain sign is related to a certain body part? Because Carrie Ann, I hate to say this, but I'm a Scorpio too.
I knew we were soul
I
sisters.
get you, girl.
You get it. I mean, we govern the erogenous zones. We can't help it. Like,
Yeah.
so for us, we're very sexual beings. It truly is just in our nature. And so for me, having to learn to balance my sexuality has really been there since I was little. I remember having sexual feelings when I was very little and being aware of my body in that way. So it's understanding how we can merge eroticism and purity together, because I feel that's the age that we've moved into since December 21st. I feel when I was at Uluru on December 21st, I've shared this with many of these ladies here, there was a purification of Mother Earth's heartbeat, which had been distorted, and we were seeing that toxic masculine energy. And then we had this switch into this new paradigm, and all I could hear, it's like it flooded into my ears, was gugung, 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 as that heartbeat of Mother Earth purified through that portal of Uluru. And so that's the creation point, isn't it? You know, when from that dielectric black womb energy, we burst out into creation, it was gugung, gugung, gugung. And it's overwhelming. And that's what sexuality is. It's overwhelming. How can we harness our sexuality, and how can we rise our sexuality up through our chakras and become illuminated at the crown portal and merge again with Father, Mother, God, Goddess energy, all that is. So I feel we're on that journey, because we know, I mean, we're living in 2021. We've been through 2020, where there's been so much depravity revealed. We know that as far as it goes on the spectrum, we can't go, the floor can't, you know, drop any further down. We've got to start rising. We've got to start harnessing our sexuality, because we can't remove it. We can't simply shut it down. We can't suppress it. We need to harness it and learn through it, because, as I say, that's what creation energy is. So how can we rise it up? And for me, that's the exploration at the moment. I've been in an on-again, off-again relationship for 20 years, but we consciously, both of us, chose to have a break last year. And sorry, my dog's making noise here. We consciously had a break last year because we wanted to go deeper within. We wanted to discover aspects of ourselves, harness the energy of 2020, what was going on, how could we move further into self-inquiry, further into awareness of what this depravity was, because I don't see anything as outside of me. We're all in the one energy. We're all part of God's creation. So where was it within me that I wasn't attending to the suppression, the darkness, the inner child trapped in the tunnel? Where could I dive further within? Where could I heal? Where could I transform? Where could I transcend? So I've really been on that journey. I mean, it's coming up for 12 months now that for those of us who awakened quickly with the events of 2020, it's coming up to 12 months that we've been on this, you know, deep discovery. But it is Saturday night. So yes, Devina, absolutely. I hear you, darling. It's Saturday night, and let's just celebrate our sexuality. You know, if you want to go outside and dance naked under the moonlight after this show, then I encourage you to do that, because the goddess is sensual. She's Shakti energy. She moves, she feels, she embodies. We're moving away from toxic masculine. We're allowing the sacred masculine to dance with the divine feminine in holy union, not one leading the other, in holy union. And I know we're going to talk about twin flames tonight, and I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Carrie-Ann. Beautiful. And, you know, at Sexy Brilliant, we welcome all perspective, from Brahmacharya to Carrie-Ann, who's like, is on that sexual exploration. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I have the superpower. Wait, before I tell you guys my superpower, I want to know if you guys have a superpower. So I'm going to go to Lonnie. I'm going to ask everybody in the comments, everybody who's watching us and watching us on replay, do you guys have a superpower? Let me know in the comments. Let us know in the comments, and we'll be so happy to share that on camera and on screen. So Lonnie, do you have a superpower in terms of sexuality? You can choose not to answer that and just talk about what does can spirituality be sexy? You know, choose whatever you want to talk about. It's a free, no judgment place.
Yeah. So like I said, I have some interesting guests previous and upcoming on my series, and we're going to delve into some tantric sex things. Yeah, I know. I'll be tagging you, Devina.
Can't wait.
I'm just observing at this point. I've been single for maybe 5 or 6 years, and like I've said before on my show, I had a lover in there somewhere, which was really nice. And much appreciated being a single mom. So that was a nice little getaway to have pleasure in that way. But for the last, 4 years now, I mean, I think that's pretty dormant inside of me. But I think it's a great, I'm a Pisces, by the way, but I think it's a great opportunity for me to transform right now, because I don't want to be sexual in the way that I have been in the past. I was a very sexual person in my 20s and very promiscuous, and just, went out dancing all the time and just was like this,
I'm gonna stop you, Lonnie, because I don't want you to be, and actually anybody who's here, I don't want anybody to be ashamed of their sexuality. I don't want to hear that I used to be promiscuous or I used to have a lot of sex. That's just, there's nothing like too much of anything. I mean, I'm the author of a book called Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious. And the idea is that, none of us can be too much of anything, right? So there is nothing called too much or too fat or too loud or too ambitious or too much sex. So that's my thought, Lonnie.
That is your thought. And I would never talk down to myself. I'm just saying that was who I was in my 20s. I had a really great time. It was awesome. I loved my life then, but now it's 20 years later and I'm a parent, and things change, and I was married. Yeah, so I'm just looking now for transformation, so that now I'm rising up in a whole different way with new tools, new skills, new ways of just being, and hopefully connecting with somebody who is like-minded, and that doesn't even have to be intimate, but just relationships have to be different now. Connections have to be different now for me. So I had a conversation earlier today with a gentleman, and we were talking about intimate relationships and what that looks like now if you're an awakened person. It just can't be kind of what it was, and there has to be that flow throughout your whole day. You got to be treating each other in a certain way, and your energy and vibes have to be just, vibing in each other's space the whole day. That's like the foreplay of the whole day, so that when you are in that intimate time, it's not going to take so long for someone to warm up, like us women who hold things through the day and contract like that. Then it'll be absent, and you can just get down to the pleasure, intimate part by just making sure your whole day reflects your connection, your sensuality, everything, your respect for people, just using your new skills and tools in being with each other, and making sure you're both feeling good, and you're both working through the days and the things that come up, and then appreciating the intimate times, right? It just all makes sense. So I'm just observing, like I said, right now, and just taking in a lot of new things, so that I can practice with some new connections. Yeah, so it's exciting.
I love it, and thank you so much for that, Lonnie. My point was not to put you down in any way, because I respect everybody's choice. We all are sovereign beings. We are all live in this world which is without labels. So that's what my point was. And thank you for that very much. And I appreciate everybody who's so honest and so open, discussing a subject that is so taboo: sexuality, spirituality, and especially if sexuality and spirituality can be together. And Marie, tell us about yourself. I know you're with Danny. Tell us, what does sexuality and spirituality have to do together? You can also talk about yourself. It's an open platform.
Thank you.
Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I muted you. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just saying, I love my husband. We have a great.
We love him too.
Yeah, he's pretty cute. We have a great relationship. I mean, I think when we're talking about sex and spirituality, I think where we are now is I mean, that was really where our relationship started, was a very physical attraction. And then we like to say we got married and then we started dating. So it was kind of like that had to do with green cards and immigration and things like that. So we kind of got married really quickly, but we had a really great physical connection. And I think that we've really matured over the years, because it now is much more about both of us kind of lifting our energy, and we're looking into sacred sex and really trying to practice more tantric modalities and ways to kind of pull our energy back up and really feel something like an orgasm, not so much just like a however long it is, but something that we can actually share and lift the energy in a different way. So it's been a very interesting time these last few months, kind of trying these new things. And I think that sexuality is definitely spiritual. I mean, especially, I really resonated, Lonnie, with what you said just around relationships want to be different now. And it's not that in the past they weren't good or whatever. It's just, I think we're different now. And I think that we're stepping into more of who we were designed to be. And so we have more expectations. And so practices like Madonna too, with brahmacharya, I mean, way to go. There are times in life when we need to abstain and we need to like really use that energy to go within. And then there are times to dance naked in the sun and in the sun or the moonlight. But I think that now we're really wanting to up-level our sexuality in a way that merges with spirit, because a lot of times and I've had this experience in my life where it's like, there's that excitement, there's that sexual experience, and then there's that drain of energy. And I think that as spiritual beings, the more heightened we get, the more we want to avoid those drainage, those kind of draining energies. And that's what I think sacred sex is about. And we're such beginners. I'm just really grateful that I have a partner who's really committed and loves me and loves our family. And, you know, Danny wasn't the kind of man who I thought would be monogamous. Like, he was not into that. And I think that I actually come from, my parents have been married for 100 years or whatever. And, you know, my mom's a Scorpio, so we always heard about all sorts of inappropriate stuff growing up. And so sex was definitely like, and I was raised, you know, I was supposed to be a virgin and not have sex before I was married. And so there was a lot of pressure on not only on me as a young girl and as a young woman, but I think on all of us in terms of our sexuality. And obviously, given world events and what we're seeing, this is something we really need to heal. And we really need to look at sex and spirituality and how they go together. And so, yeah, Lonnie, like, our relationships need to be better. We need to be demanding more from ourselves and from our partners and from the people that we share our bodies with. Because it is a spiritual experience. I mean, you become one. It's very divine. It's this incredible gift that God gave us. But, you know, if we look back at how it's been abused since Adam and Eve, that's something that I think people like us in this community, we're really wanting to heal that. And so that's how I think we're brilliant, because we're like, we want to be brilliant around sex. We don't want it to just be like, oh, because we can do that ourselves and that was fun and whatever, and, you know, okay. But we want to have this level of intimacy where it's lifting both of us to kind of next level integration with our creator. And that's what it was designed to be. So I think that's what we're learning how to practice in my marriage. And I think that that's what, essentially, I'm going to speak for all of us, but I think that's what we want. If we're going to do that, we want it to be next level.
I love that. Thank you so much. And like, really, you know, there is no right or wrong when it comes to your sexuality. There is no right or wrong when it comes to your spiritual practice, right? It's all at the level of consciousness that you are. So we're all in this human experience with different needs, different cultural experiences, different religious experiences as well. So there is no right or wrong. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I want to talk about superpowers. And everybody who's here in the audience, I know there are a lot of comments coming in, so I'm going to try to catch up and show some of the comments. But I want to know, what is your superpower? Your superpower when it comes to either your sexuality, your sexual practice, your no sexual practice, brahmacharya, as Madonna shared with us. And what does spirituality and sexuality have to do together? So let me know about that in the comments. So Madonna, I want to go back to you. Yes, so you know what, I'm so glad you were sharing your story about having an active sexual life, and then you were talking about change and abstinence. How do you say that word?
Abstinence.
Thank you, abstinence. Clearly, it's not a word that I'm used to.
It's not resonating.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, so that's abstinence, right?
Yeah.
So over Corona, like this whole shutdown, I actually gave up coffee as well. So I'm very proud of myself.
I tried that. That didn't work for me. I mean, I've given up everything else. So come on, not coffee.
Hold on.
I'm not having sex, for crying out loud. Give me my coffee.
I love this. You chose coffee over sex. Okay, girl, you win this one.
I mean, it's not really a black and white choice, right? I mean, I think there are periods in one's life when you practice it, and it just so happens to be this. It is for me right now. It was. I was practically pushed into a corner. Like, okay, Madonna, this is the time you're gonna have to experience this. And so, like, when I gave up meat after having been an unrepentant carnivore, most of my life. There was even a time when I was telling all my veggie friends, just give up on me already, because I am never gonna give up meat in this lifetime, right? So I've made general statements like that before in my life, and when I finally was able to give up meat, I was like, I can't believe that I'm actually capable of doing this. Same as abstinence. I never in my wildest life would have ever imagined that I could do it. Right. So you're asking us about our superpowers. I think that's mine. Like that is the brahmacharya is my superpower. I did it. I'm still doing
it. And honestly, I am also like in abstinence mode, but not out of choice. Okay, so just so we know that. It's not, I don't want to be single. I want to have sex, and I want to have lots of sex. There, I said it, the universe, okay?
No, I do that too. I mean, I want that too. But like everyone else, I think we're in the same vibe here. I want that mind-blowing, elevated, take me to another dimension, time, space, continuum kind of sex, right? Something that would completely turn on all my, all 64 strands of my DNA. That's the type of union that I'm after. So I'm holding out for that.
Well, thank you very much, Madonna. I appreciate that. And Carrie and myself, we're both Scorpios, and I know Madonna is a Capricorn. And Marie is a Pisces. Lonnie, are you a Pisces as well? I might have missed that, right? Okay, so Lonnie's a Pisces as well. And I want to know from everybody, what sun sign are you? So that we can talk a little bit about that, and maybe even in this show, but maybe even in the next show. So Carrie Ann, back to you. Let me just unmute you.
Yeah, talking about superpowers, my superpower is the fantasy world, because I can easily go into that space. So I never diminish my sexuality. And I encourage everyone to engage in that. Whether you call that sex in the 5D, it doesn't really matter, but you literally can have that sexual interaction with all of the cosmos. You can lay outside under the sun. You can feel the penetrating rays of the sun coming into your being. It's very, very potent. I want to go back to what Marie said about the Garden of Eden story, because it really is at that point. I feel we need to explore that. And also what you said, Devina, about having no shame around our sexuality, because when Eve bit the apple and the serpent, came up her legs, I guess. There was so much shame that was injected into the divine feminine at that point, as if we got it wrong. We didn't get it wrong. It's part of the galactic story of discovery. It's what we're here to understand. And when we go through those pathways and we come out the other side, then we do start to rise the energy up, as we've been talking about. So let's take all the shame away from the times that I've been promiscuous in my 20s as well. Let's take all the shame away from those times, because how else would we know? How else would we understand the highest point of creation, our God, Goddess self, if we didn't experience the contrast, if we didn't go in the other direction? And to me, that's what the galactic story is always about. How many galactic stories we've had, I don't know, but we're currently about 13,500 years through a cycle, another galactic cycle of 26,500 years. Like, it's powerful. Our stories are powerful. Women as goddesses, the divine feminine, is powerful. So we're removing that shame right back there at that point of the Garden of Eden story. And we're figuring this out. And I'm with you, Madonna. Let's awaken those 64 strands of our DNA, because I know at that point, when we come together, whether it's just with the cosmos or with a sacred masculine, or for women who are, gay, another sacred feminine, when we come together in that way, we explode light codes out, which will literally heal the earth. That is what we have come to do. We are star seeds here on the planet, here to heal, here to awaken new earth. So yeah, it's very exciting times.
Thank you, and that was beautiful. I appreciate all that wisdom. Wow, I'm just kind of blown away with, and I have, I run Sexy Brilliant Nonprofit Foundation, right? So it's your sexual energy is your creative energy. So for years and years, this is all I've done. All I do is work, and my work turns me on. But at some times, I'm like, you know what? It would kind of be nice to have an outside distraction, i.e. a partner, right? So I'm kind of working on yourself while you're kind of doing everything else. And that's what's important. And Lonnie, back to you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. I appreciate everybody who's here. Okay, sorry, just before you go in, I'm getting a lot of comments with people sharing their sun signs, and we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to come up with that. Thank you so much. Lonnie, back to you.
Okay. We're talking about superpowers, sexual?
We can talk about anything that excites you right now.
Okay, well, when I was having the physical sex, I guess a sexual superpower was to release my fluids, that squirting thing. So that was, but now, like
I love that. Okay. I was thinking about it, spirituality, and now I'm thinking about squirting. Oh my goodness. So I have a superpower that I'm going to share with everybody as well, but sorry about Lonnie. Go ahead.
Okay. And then, but I also have the superpower of being, celibate and single for a long time. I mean, I can be in a deep, relaxed state and bring the sexual energy up and just vibrate, like physically vibrate through the whole body. So again, it's just all in stages. So now I'm looking for the next superpower and how to include another person in that at some point, right? To feel that vibration and have that exchange between two people. It's really exciting. But for a superpower, just spiritually, and just in other realms, I mean, I free birth my kids. So I just birthed at home with no assistance because I was able to just, let go and practice letting go throughout my whole pregnancy, whether it's in a bathtub or through meditation, yoga. Let go of our shit and not let any fears penetrate. So just, staying focused on that. So that's what I teach women to do as well.
Lonnie, can I ask you something? Did you and I know today's not the time to talk about birthing, but it's also part of spirituality and sexuality, right? Did you have help when you were, because I think you have 5 kids? 4. Did you have help giving birth at home?
No professional help. Like my partner would be there and the kids that I would have already had before the next one.
Wow. How many kids do you have?
I have 4. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Thank you for that. I've always been curious about that. We have to have another show on birthing. Okay. If anybody wants to come on a roundtable with me and Lonnie, let me know in the comments. You can also join our Women's Only Facebook group or our Facebook group. It's called Sexy Brilliant Group. Look it up, please. And of course, we're on Telegram as well. So thank you very much for that. Marie, I'm going to unmute you. Tell us about your superpowers in spirituality, sexuality, whatever you want to talk about. I know you have kids. I know one of your son is about 4 years old. How many kids do you have? Being a mom is a superpower, right?
Being a mom is absolutely a superpower. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. And and I guess spiritual superpowers, breath. I can breathe really good. I don't always do it. It's always surprising to me that I forget to breathe. After all of these years, I can still find myself having shallow breaths and getting into fear. But I think that I have also the capacity to really listen. I feel like I can kind of see and hear people without them saying things. I can read energy pretty well. And and I'm just realizing too that my level, I'm an empath. Like I think Lonnie, you said something to me recently about that. You were like, "Hey, how's your energy?" I was like, crazy right now because I feel things very intensely, and I see this in my daughter too. She's got the same thing. I feel everything, and I think that's part of what my cancer. I don't want to say my cancer, but this cancer is about for me is suppressing the feelings. Feelings, not understanding how to process them and kind of being afraid of them. Or so I think Madame used the word earlier about numbing. I think I did that a lot in my 20s and 30s. And so it kind of like caught up with me. But I think the more that I dive into my spirituality, the more raw I get, the more I take away, the more empathetic I'm getting as well. And so I don't know if it's a superpower, but I'm aware of it and I'm really learning how to manage that. And I think that could be called a superpower too, just that level of always being a learner and staying open our whole lives. I think a lot of us, at least here, get that, but a lot of adults, it's like we think we're supposed to know, and I was certainly one of them, where we're supposed to have the answers. And so then we pretend we do, or we defend what we think we know and all of that. So this for me is a lot about just shedding a lot of those layers. And I think that's important. That's authenticity. I mean, that's a superpower in and of itself as well. So.
You know what? Authenticity is the biggest superpower. And thank you so much for bringing that up, Marie, because that's what we are all about, like authenticity, right? Like, I had a post the other day and I said, you can have all of the success in life, right? And you can have everything that you dream about, but you can still have sadness that shows up. And, then there can be sadness when you're having, not necessarily sadness, but you can have sex and you can have a mind-blowing orgasm, and then you can have tears as well. It's all part of your experiences, right? And so many times, so much trauma shows up in different ways. And it's important that we do not shy away from who we are authentically. That's what it's all about, right? We, as Carrie Ann said earlier, we've changed times. December 2020 was a big time, a shift in energy. We are officially in the age of Aquarius, and now it's all about knowing ourselves, and sexuality is another way to know who you are. It's another connection to yourself, as is spirituality. And that's why we're having this discussion and opening everything and like talking really honestly, right? So there is no shame in we should never be ashamed of our sexuality. That's my thing. So, because I'm born and raised in India, and for so long, I waited till I got married to have my first sexual experience. I had an arranged marriage, and it was kind of like, this is what we do. But looking back, I don't agree with any of this. So that's my take, right? But I want to go back to the questions again. I know there's so many questions coming in. And we have a question here that says, what's the relationship between sex and superconsciousness? Is there anybody who wants to answer this question? Yes, Lonnie, thank you.
Okay.
So the question is, what's the relationship between sex and superconsciousness? Go ahead, Lonnie.
Well, I'm not sure about a relationship, but I think right now people are aware of different stages of consciousness. And so when I was talking about my physical experiences of sex, whether it was 20 years ago and then maybe up to when I had my husband or whatnot, the physical aspect of it is more of a 3D experience. Okay, so now going into like a 4D experience would be like I kind of described, maybe on that level of like just being able to bring up your energies, like a Kundalini thing, and vibrate or just experiment with that, because you're on a whole different level. You're raising your vibration up to experience something completely different. So maybe in a 4D. The goal again would be to get to that 5D. So whatever that's going to look like is where I'm wanting to head. And at some point, so I'm imagining that's just going to be elation, and it probably won't even have to involve touching. I imagine it's something you could do long distance with somebody. So Devina, that's good news, right? So we can still feel, pleasures and stuff and exchange energies with people, even if they're long distance. And in different realms, maybe in the dream state, however it is, astral traveling, whatever it is, there's just different levels. There's so much more expansion out there from the 3D. We got to start getting out of that 3D, thinking on most areas in life, and start rising, start opening up and expanding to these new ideas and these new ways of being. We're just going to be happier people because of it. I hope that.
Thank you so much for that. And I had a question, and now my ADD brain has kicked in, and I can't remember the question. So sorry about that. But is there, Carrie Ann, do you want to take over? And I had a question that I have a complete blank right now, so pardon me about that. But here you go, Carrie Ann.
Yeah, thanks, Lonnie, because I concur completely. We have to learn how to use our refined energy to interact, as well as, I'd love to talk about the concept of twin flames, because I oscillate between having a sense that that's what's coming for us, if not for many people already in it. And that's a different resonance to the soulmate. A soulmate resonance, you may actually end up being in a soulmate relationship. Like the fellow that I've been in a relationship on and off for 20 years is most definitely a soul mate. It's very easy to have a daily interaction with him. Feels like home, had many, many lifetimes together. In many senses, even though he's been a romantic partner at times, he's definitely a soul brother, I would say, and almost like a mirror image of me. But the twin flame concept is different again, and twin flames you may not end up having a long-term relationship with, or you might. But I see the twin flame resonance as coming together for that healing to take place, as I spoke about earlier, that healing of Mother Earth. It's potent. It's so potent, you may not be able to sustain a daily relationship. So as Lonnie's talking about, this may be happening on the astral plane. It's actually said for those who have more awareness of twin flames, often you're not incarnated on the earth together. So if you look at the way we fractalize down from the monadic energy, so from the oneness, from God, Goddess, we come down through being fractal energy, or godlets, if you like, into this individuated consciousness. But higher up the dimensional ladder, of course, we are interacting. If we remember that creation point, which is pure sexuality, pure eruption, of course, we're interacting energetically, and we're creating explosions of energy, orgasmic energy is happening. That's what the universe is. That's what God creation is. So we really need to dive deeper into those spaces. And I love what Lonnie said, because maybe we don't need to have it in the 3D. or maybe we will at some point, but maybe we're preparing our vessels, as Madonna's spoken about as well, through brahmacharya. This purification, and I know for Marie, she's purifying in so many other ways, through diet and breath, and there's so many ways that we can purify our vessel. And so it ultimately is this Kundalini rising up. And if you think of the serpent energy going like this and meeting there, you know, this crucifixion here at the third eye chakra, and illuminating like a chalice into Sarasrara, into the crown portal. So then you're drinking in the divine energy, but it's yours and yours alone. So once you are anchored in that, I believe it's that time to share that sacred sexual energy with someone else. Now, I'm talking in an idealistic sense. Of course, we're having sex here and there, and it's fine. But for those who are on a spiritual mission, and because we've had a chance to activate more in 2020, I believe that mission has become more defined and refined. And so now we want to have those engagements with someone else. So you think of the two Kundalini forces, two people coming together, and what that's doing with this weaving of the serpent energy to rise up. It's potent. That's the word I keep using, because it's hard to describe with human language what that frequency is, what we are creating here on the earth plane, but also in the astral planes. So yeah, sex in 5D, Lonnie, I'm with you, darling. Because you know, there's no limitation in that realm. We've got to learn to dance in that realm, explore in that realm. Maybe it's 4D. I mean, I'm not exactly sure, because again, we have an understanding with the human limited consciousness. But for those of us who are aware of the interdimensional reality, go and play in that space, because there are no limitations. You can create a fantasy world, because isn't that what we're doing at the moment? Aren't we creating new earth? Aren't we wanting to say, hey, no more to what's been on this old world? We do not subscribe to the new world order. We're here as the goddesses and the sacred warriors out there, the men, leading this movement forward. We are here to create through our envisioning, and it does incorporate that powerful, that potent sexual energy. So let's all dream a new dream and fantasize to your heart's content, because when you're in you know, because I'm from Australia and I do have a mentor who's a beautiful auntie and an elder here. And so they showed us what the dream time was about. They sustained beautiful earth for millions of years through the dream time. They did not feel guilty when they were dreaming. That's what we're meant to do. We're not meant to be doing all the time. We're human beings. We've got to remember to be and delight in our sexual, creative energy. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. So sorry, I just wanted to say, Carrie, I am actually turned on now. So what do we do about that?
we meditate more.
5D Madonna later on.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful, and we're getting a lot of questions. And one of them, and I'm going to paraphrase it. Becky Stewart wants to know, why have we been repressed, or why have we led to stop having amazing connections with a soulmate? Does anybody want to answer that? Or Marie?
Okay. I'm seeing the question here up on the screen. I grew up in a religion where leaders, I mean, I think that's all about control and domination. And yeah, it has nothing to do with love and equality, and has everything to do with, fear-based consciousness trying to manipulate us to follow orders. So yeah, that's what that is. And I think you've probably sorted that out and figured that out by now, and it's time to move on. I think that's the healing work now that we're embarking on is, and it's difficult. It's difficult to look at our past and look at all of the programs we received and all of the stuff that literally makes no sense. It just makes no sense. You get to a certain level and you're like, this is total insanity. And I think we knew that then too, because we always know, and our intuition is always available to us. That's why, I mean, things happened to me when I was younger too. Churches and priests would say things. You'd be like, I had a priest tell me once that when I confessed, because I told you guys I was supposed to be a virgin before I was married, and that wasn't the case. And my first sexual partner was amazing. And I loved sex. And I was really guilty about that. I had so much shame and so much fear, but I kept doing it because I loved it so much. And so I finally went to confession, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to confess your sins. And I confessed, and I said to the priest, and you know what? I don't really think it's a bad thing. I don't know why you guys are giving us such a hard time about the sex. And he said to me that I should look at one of the saints and who abstained from communion, one of the martyrs in our church, for 7 years in penitence for her sexual energy and for having sex and all of that. And I just remember that being such a moment for me, being like, yeah, this is not my home anymore. This is total insanity. Because the whole point of communion, if it was meant to be, what it is supposed to be communing with our Creator. And you're going to tell me I can't do that anymore because of something that's very natural within me that no one ever told me about. We have these weird sex ed classes. Parents don't really know what's going on. I mean, I signed a contract, I was like 11 years old or something. I remember sorry, Mom, if you ever see this, that was weird. There was a contract and a chastity ring. I mean, it was deep stuff for us. And so, healing our sexual energy, healing our past, being able to look at it, to feel what it felt and release that is the work of our generation. I mean, that is what we need to do. We can't just keep ignoring it, or even we can get mad about it. We absolutely should, because otherwise we're bypassing. But I think a lot of us get stuck in the anger, or we avoid it. And it's our opportunity is to just move through it and not to stand under this insanity anymore. And more importantly, to make sure that our children are so far away from it. My daughter is nearly 7 years old, and she's still, there's guests. She wants to be in the pool. She takes off she's like a little European gal. She just wears her bottom at the beach most of the time. Like, these kids from the States were down here, and they were all like, why aren't you having a shirt on? And she's like, she kind of looked at them like, what's your deal? Like, why are you holding your head out? Like, and that to me was a win as a mom. That was a win. It is a win, because she's free to talk about those things with me. She's free to, if she wants to be naked, she can be naked. If she wants to swim without a top on, she can do that. And I love that. I think that we've all been so wounded in this area. And I love your work, Devina, about that. Just let's remove the shame, because if we're not honest that we have it, then we can't heal it. And that's a really important part of us, taking over our sovereignty, taking back our freedom, is to take responsibility for all of this stuff and to learn how to diffuse it, because otherwise we can't change it. And that's what we're here to do. We have to change it. We have to change it because it's gross. Sorry.
Yeah. I agree, Maria. Marie. When, think of children, think about being childlike, and just how sensitive and just light and loving they are, right? And then, if they go to they're curious and they touch themselves or something, that kind of felt good, or I like that smell after they're touching their genitals or something, right? Like, parents and society, it's like, oh, don't touch it, don't do that. So it's all about suppression from young ages, of course, but it's also about disconnection, right? The initial question that the woman had asked here, it's all about separation. So separation from God, separation from other people, making sure our relationships do fail, that, we're just kind of always alone and not reaching out and working as communities and together, and having that connection with God should be foremost, but then bringing that into our relationships with people. And sex is healthy, like you guys were all talking about. It's just been so damaged in our society, right? And so taboo, or this and that. Like, it should just be a free thing. I've never told my children to whatever, don't touch yourself or whatever, that's bad. I just encourage them, yes, that it does feel good. So, this is something you can do in private, like when you're in your room, or where, this is where you can, and enjoy yourself and stuff. You just kind of have to explain in their level. But it's really sad what is going on. Think about everything being turned around and turned upside down. Everything we've learned is the opposite of what really should be. And suppressing our sexuality is huge because our sexuality is so fucking powerful. So if women's sexuality is intact completely, we can rule this world.
That's so beautiful, and I really appreciate the fact that you swore. So yes, so swearing is kind of sexy too sometimes, right? Thank you so much. I mean, and this talk about sexuality it's not something that we can solve just by talking. It's about taking responsibility for ourselves and our action, and knowing who we are, knowing what our desires are, and not to be ashamed of our sexuality, right? So that's so important. And I'm gonna we're gonna come to the end of the show, but I want to go around the table once again and get closing thoughts from everybody. Anything to share, please go ahead. And Madonna,
Unmute. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing all your wisdom, ladies. It's always wonderful to hear your thoughts on this very important topics. And again, Devina, thank you for creating this space for us to talk about this. So as far as my experience right now, what I'm going through and what I'm consciously taking, as some kind of a self vow. I can only speak for myself, obviously, but I think it's quite an amazing time, and it's also a very instructional practice for me, that I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning so much about my codependency habits, or the way I'm built to really just depend on the other, right? So now I'm taking back all that power for myself. And I feel that every time that we practice something that takes us out of the norm, the habitual practices that we're used to, the groove, we're really training ourselves, training our minds, and we're channeling all that energy, especially, in the mind. We're channeling it into a more beneficial, more benign way. And I think we're all yoga practitioners here, right? So as a practice of yoga, it's like to discipline the mind, so we're not driven by our unconscious biological needs or nature. So we become more mindful, and when we do that, we can, we're on that path to self knowledge, and I think it's a really wonderful thing.
thank you so much for that. And it's all about transmuting the energy, right? Like I've mentioned earlier, celibacy has helped me stay focused on my path as well. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I'm single. I was able to focus on work, and that's why I'm where I am. So it's like a journey we're all in, right? So thank you so much for that. And I'm gonna go to Lonnie. Your thoughts, closing remarks, and of course, where can people find you?
Well, I don't have much closing remarks, but I did want to learn more about what Madonna was talking about, the Brahma something. And then Devina, I'm curious how you're looking for love these days, because I know that you're so anxious and you're just really open and ready. And I'm just curious how you're going about that. And maybe when you come on my show next week or a couple weeks from now or something, hoping we can talk about that. Maybe we can help find you somebody.
Yay!
Let's talk about Devina and dating, or something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if you girls know this, and maybe some of you have know this, is Sexy Brilliant started because I'm a recovering addict, love addict, and you know, I'm not going to go into all the details, but I'm going to quickly share that after my arranged marriage ended, I found myself on dating applications. And then anytime somebody would message me, it didn't matter that I had like $5 in my bank account. It didn't matter that I was fat or felt not so good about myself. I would just reply to, you know, the question, how are you? Always sexy, always brilliant. And little did I know that, you know, 5 years later, it would kind of become this nonprofit foundation, removing toxic shame, raising human consciousness, and literally helping millions around the world. And that's, I mean, it's amazing what your heartbreaks and what your darkness can teach you and lead you. So, you know, one of the things that I'm all about and Sexy Brilliant is all about is self-acceptance. So acceptance of not just your sexual energy, not just your spirituality, but also your emotions and your darkness, overcoming those addictions and finding a way to love yourself through everything. So, and we're going to be talking more about this. I want to bring in more women. So, you know, if you are interested in joining our panel, please connect with me, find me on my Facebook groups, message any of the ladies here, ask them to connect you to me so that we can then start talking about ourselves, our superpowers, and just make the world a better place. So that's me. And thank you for listening, everybody.
So just to finish then, if anybody wants to follow my Life and Birth Mentor YouTube channel, please do that. And next weekend, I'm having a men's roundtable. So I have some wonderful men. So we're going to hear from men and their perspectives on dating and just being open to love on a spiritual level here in 2021. So ladies, tune in.
Yes, and everybody, please do tune in. I'm going to be doing a show with Lonnie. Thank you, Lonnie. My ADD brain kicks in all the time, and I can't even keep up with myself. Add the Scorpio to it. It's like a crazy thing, right? So make sure that you follow Lonnie. I love her work, and the work she's doing is really empowering. Connect the young mothers to her, please. That would be really appreciated because that's Lonnie's superpower. So thank you for that, Lonnie. And Marie, final thoughts before we close the show on everything that we've discussed or anything that you want to share with us. Oh, wait, hold on. I have to unmute you.
Yeah, just super fun conversation. Thank you for holding this space to talk about some of these, you know, maybe a little bit more taboo topics for those in our community. And I just think that nowadays it's really important to just keep getting more and more raw and letting more and more go. Just go for it and journal and write. And I guess that's really the message of 2021 is healing. I think 2020, we were all pretty traumatized by all of it. And now it's our time to pull our thread. I've said that on a number of these shows, you know, just pulling our thread out of this, healing our aspects of toxic shame, our aspects of inner child wounding, our aspects of the divine feminine and masculine that have been manipulated. And I think that part of that is just coming together and sharing. So nowadays it seems really tricky, like to know who to trust and whatever. And I think that part of it is just us being open to sharing. And I think that the more honest we can get, the easier this whole process of healing will get. Just be honest, just be yourself. And if someone doesn't like it or someone's upset about it, that's okay too. You know, we're all really doing the best that we can. I believe that, you know, wholeheartedly, that certainly it's easy for us to say, well, you should be doing better, but I think it's all about us. Like, really just go for it. Yeah, thank you. It's been a very interesting conversation. I didn't know what to expect, but I love every one of you, Carrie. I just love you. I love your whole rap. That was amazing. That why, the opening the chalice, bringing in the energy, and raising the chrism oil. I mean, that's what we're really learning how to do, is to raise our energy and to keep it raised, and to keep raised again and again and right now too, and again. And what are the things that we need to do? And sex is one of them. But, you know, this type of conversation is also another piece of the puzzle here, and how we're healing is just coming together and communicating, sharing what's on our hearts. So thanks for that.
Thank you so much for that. And before I go on to Carrie Ann, I just want to know from everybody who's watching and who's also on listening on replay, would you like me to do more shows like this with just the women talking about sexuality, but also I know for myself, I've used my sexual energy to create a global brand. And, there are many women out there like that, and I would love to share their stories. But would you guys be interested in bringing in sexy brilliance? I mean, the intelligent part? I want to know from the audience. So let me know in the comments. Send me an email. You can check out our website, sexybrilliant.com. We are a registered nonprofit foundation to remove toxic shame and raise human consciousness. So, we're all doing this together, and I want to share the information and the messages that you guys want to hear about. So let me know about that. So thank you very, very much. And Carrie Ann, your thoughts on everything that we've shared today and more and beyond. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Devina, and these beautiful goddesses, because it's such a powerful conversation and a needed conversation. And I love the theme of removing shame. That's absolutely necessary in this timeline. I want to just put out a call to anyone who may need support in a healing sense or in any other way. I would love, with our organisation, we train healers as well as yoga teachers. So we've got plenty of people available. If there's anyone that has suffered from sexual abuse in their childhood, or if anyone can link us to how we can put together some online healing programs for any of these kids that have come out of the tunnels, any of these sex slaves, I know intuitively that's the direction that I'm led to move into. So I would just love to put the call out. If anyone can link me to the right person where we can help, where we can support, we are available. For some reason, after 23 years of running this business, it pretty much runs itself. I'm so blessed. Of course, I work many hours every day, but it's effortless for me. And I know that I have a lot of energy and a lot of space still available to support now in this way. So please, if anyone knows of anyone you can link us, reach out. My website is myhealthyoga.com. Devina might put that up in the video notes. And then we've started a podcast as well last year to speak to these current events. And that it's on YouTube. It's on Apple and Spotify as My Health World, and it's on YouTube just as My Health, if you want to follow us there. And Lonnie and Devina must have you on as well. I've had Marie on, such a goddess, and Madonna. We've had a few chats together, but let's keep the conversations going, ladies, because it's so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I mean, I am so blessed to be sharing this space with all of you, and it's only through this. I mean, the time of celebrity worship is over, right? The glamour there's no more of that, and it's time to really switch off the outside noise. Go within, and even your sexuality, like Madonna said, brahmacharya. And in India, we're very familiar with that word, right? Brahmacharya. So go within. It's about using the energy that you have to make the world a better place. But it starts with yourself. When you make a better you every day, guess what happens? The world becomes a better place. So that's what we're all about. And thank you so much. We're gonna come back. We're gonna do this again. I mean, there's so much work to do in removing the shame around sexuality. So once again, let me know if you want me to do more shows like this. And of course, what time of the day do you prefer? Which day do you prefer? Because I like to do live shows. So that's my brilliance. And yes, we're gonna get to the end of the show. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so at the end of every show, we pull the Sexy Brilliant cards. If you can see them, they're sexy and they're brilliant. And I should have shared my superpower. Really, my superpower is to make anything and everything X-rated within the first 3 seconds. So it's a God's gift. I can't run away from it. These cards are they're a little bit X-rated. We talk about orgasms when we talk about masturbation. So if you have kids and you're uncomfortable with that, I apologize. But we're gonna pull out the cards. We're gonna see what messages we get. And if you want a card pulled up for yourself, let us know. So here we go. Let's see. They're all coming out, right? It says, oh my goodness, what a card. Can you see it? Ooh. So the card is love and re-love. It says, love is a sexy, brilliant art. We are all deserving of love, care, acceptance, and a sense of belonging. And Carrie Ann, I'm thinking about you right now. Promise to give love second chances and opportunities to flourish. There is growth in love, and we are all worthy of love. Make self-kindness, self-compassion, self-acceptance a top priority. So, this is what it's all about. It's about loving and re-loving yourself again and again and again and again. And that's what it's all about. So, wow. Thank you so much. These cards, of course, are available on sexybrilliant.com. We are a registered nonprofit foundation. You can find them there. The cards are on special right now. So make sure you grab yours, order them right now. So thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. And, again, lots of questions coming in, lots of comments coming in, and we're going to come back next week and do another show. And I hope you guys get to enjoy this, connect with all of the beautiful souls who are here today, leaders in their own way. And of course, we are all leaders. And I'm going to just unmute everybody and say, and give you guys, anybody has anything to share? Did I miss anything, by the way? Because sometimes I'm kind of like all over the place. But the show notes are going to have everybody's information. So you can check the show notes and check out everybody's website. That would be greatly appreciated. And once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And most importantly, thank you for sharing this broadcast with your sisters. And of course, in much love and much gratitude. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Brilliantly Sexy with Devina Kaur. We value your time immensely and appreciate your shares, comments, and feedback. Devina Kaur is the best-selling author of Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious, a spiritual self-help workbook. Your purchases and donations support the Sexy Brilliant Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to removing toxic shame. Please discover our fantastic behind-the-scenes content on sexybrilliant.org.
Hey, and we're still here. This is the behind the scenes to say thank you and to say bye to all of you, because we love you so much. So ladies, stay online while we say bye to everybody. Thank you, guys. Make sure you check out my book, Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious. Yay!
Yay. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.